What's up, everybody? Welcome to Thunderhill West for the 2025 Road and Track Performance Car of the Year. I am Editor-at-Large Matt Farah, and I'm going to take you through our line of contenders. First up, the all-new Lamborghini Revuelto with a screaming V12 and a hybrid powertrain. Next up, the Mercedes-AMG GT63, also all new for this year. Very exciting car. Then we have the relaunched, reimagined, and improved Maserati Gran Turismo Trofeo. This is the faster of the two variants, of course, because performance car of the year. Next up, we have the new Bentley GT Speed, which for the first time ever has a hybrid powertrain. They've dropped the W12, and it now shares a powertrain with the Porsche Panamera Turbo S. We have the Mazda MX-5. This one has the BBS, Brembo, and Recaro package, so it is the highest performing variant of that car. We have the BMW Z4, which on its own may or may not merit an invite to P. Cody, but this is the new manual gearbox one, and I personally advocated for its presence here today. We have the all-new Aston Martin V8 Vantage, now with more power, which it most certainly did not need. We then have the predicted favorite, the McLaren 750S, my personal favorite supercar on sale right now. Just an absolute animal. Behind it, the second appearance from McLaren. This is the Artura Spider. It's the second gen of the Artura, finally with a top that comes down, and it is quite a delight. Last but certainly not least, the Porsche 718 Spyder RS. This is the top-down version of the GT4 RS, a very, very special machine. That is our lineup for P. Cody. We're going to have 2 days on the racetrack and then 2 days on the beautiful Northern California mountain roads. It should be quite a delight. This is the all-new Mclaren Artura Spider. It's a twin-turbo V6 paired with a single hybrid motor that's in the gearbox, helping with not only torque fill, but the ability to drive on electric only for short periods of time. It feels agile, it feels light, it feels nimble. It has a low belt line, so it's great to see out of. Because it's got McLaren's carbon tub, that means you can take off the roof without losing rigidity. With 630 horsepower and 590 pound-feet of torque and less than 3,400 pounds to hustle around, this thing goes. But also the steering, perfect. The gearbox is beautifully smooth as long as you have some power in the battery tank, because it's using that electrification to torque fill. And if you run out of battery, you can feel it. I've said it a million times before. Because of McLaren's use of carbon fiber tubs, they're all better as Spyders, because the weight penalty is only 100 pounds and you don't lose any rigidity. The top goes down in under 15 seconds, so you can have a real coupe with it up or a beautiful open air experience with it down. It's the first McLaren that, to me, doesn't feel like it wants to jump out of its own tires. It's the most accessible McLaren. And one might say, well, McLarens are supposed to be scary. Why would I want one that's not? Got a point. But look, this thing is amazing. I love it. I love it. I love it. But what if you don't have $370,000 for an Artura Spider? Frankly, most of us don't. Well, there is good news. We have 3 other top-down cars at Performance Car of the Year, and they're all cheaper, and now we're going to go drive them. Woo! Well, that was all right. But what if What if, people, you didn't have $380,000 for an Artura? What if you had 2/3 of that? What if you had 1/5 of that? What if you had 1/10 of that? Let's go out in the Mazda MX-5, a car that costs almost exactly 1/10 of what McLaren wants for the Artura Spider, because this is a group test and we have cars for all price points. How does it feel to go from a $380,000 McLaren to a $38,000 Miata? Literally, this car is 10% of the price of that McLaren Artura. But as so many automotive journalists will tell you, the Miata is the essence of driving fun. The fundamentals are all there. And frankly, they come at you at a much more reasonable pace than in a McLaren. This has a 180 horsepower, 2-liter 4-cylinder, and it weighs about 2,400 pounds. It is about 1,000 pounds lighter than the McLaren, which is wild to think about considering that's a carbon tub car and this is a very simple, straightforward construction. For this year, Mazda has updated the MX-5 with a new, better electric power steering rack, better sport differential, limited slip in the back, and they've retuned some of the rear suspension to make it a little tighter. The body roll, which there still is a bunch, really helps you play on that line between grip and slip. And that's why these are such good cars to learn car control, because whatever's going to happen, it happens very progressively. So even if I'm going to do a little huckski here, so easy to catch. You know, you give it a big aggressive input and then sort of catch it and wrestle it around the corner. In the McLaren, you have to be very precise. You're not going to be a sort of sloppy monkey like you will be in this. It is possible to drive one of these clean if you want. It's just not any fun. This is about aggression. Yeah. That's when it comes out. When you manhandle a Miata and you're very aggressive with it, that's when it's your most fun. That's when you're learning car control. Yeah, buddy. That's what's up. But what if you want to take this formula to a higher level? We have a car for that too. All right, so maybe a Miata is not for you. Maybe you're over 6 feet tall. Maybe you need a car with over 200 horsepower. Maybe it's a little too not enough of something for you. I understand. For that, we have this, the BMW Z4 M40i hand shift. That means manual gearbox. And although the Z4 has been out for 2 years, potentially disqualifying it from Performance Car of the Year, the manual gearbox makes it different and new enough that I demanded it be included. And you can do slides because the manual gearbox Z4 comes with an upgraded suspension and the M Sport differential as standard. So you can do bigger slides exactly like Chris Harris. Smoke them if you got them, folks. Woohoo! But here's the thing. To be honest, after getting out of the MX-5, the Z4 feels a little porky and quite digital. The steering is very sharp, but a bit disconnected. The body is controlled, but the way it responds and moves is not natural in the way the MX-5 pitches and rolls. I talk to it, but it doesn't talk back to me so much. We're having sort of a lecture, not a two-way conversation. Upside being 382 horsepower. That is 202 horsepower more than the MX-5. So it is properly fast. There's plenty of room in the world for roadsters with long hoods, short decks, and manual transmissions. Woo, baby! I do think this is the best BMW on sale right now. It's better looking than the M2, and on the street anyway, it's just as fast, although probably not on the track. The manual gearbox itself, very good. The convertible top is well insulated, and so if you're driving it with the top up, it's quiet and refined, and it's lovely with the top down. It has good balance. It has a pretty good chassis, and it's a very comfortable and pleasant Grand Tourer. It's nice. There's room in the world for this. But there is another topless roadster that has the potential to be our performance car of the year. Think back 28 years ago to where the Boxster started, the hairdresser's car, the lesser than, right? Take yourself back there for a moment and then feast your eyes and your ears on the Spyder RS. It goes to 9. The Spyder RS is the rawest, highest performing Boxster of all time. The open top version of the GT4 RS, it features the 4-liter 500 horsepower engine out of the 911 GT3, the 7-speed PDK gearbox, woo! And that beautifully balanced chassis in as light a configuration as possible. It has a new top that is somehow even more annoying than the regular Spyder's top. They'll tell you it's to save weight. It's actually to make it fit because the GT3 engine is taller. It has carbon fiber everywhere, bucket seats, and an unbelievable intake system that just hoovers in the air from right behind your shoulders. Yowza! And have I mentioned, it goes to freaking 9! This is the first ever RS product not designed for lap times. Andy Preuninger conceived this car not for lap times, for street driving, for street enjoyment, for hitting the back roads of the Black Forest or the Angeles Forest. In fact, Andy wanted the car to have no top at all, to fully commit to the open air experience. But the truth is, sometimes it rains, sometimes you have to wash the car, and so you need something. I mean, the sounds it makes are just unreal. And unlike the GT4 RS with its super stiff and aggressive setup, the chassis in the Spyder RS is much more compliant. It's great on the track, but it's set up for street driving. I drove this car 500 miles up here from LA, and it was awesome. What's really amazing is we've got these 4 open-top cars, the Artura, the MX-5, the Z4, and the Spyder RS. They are all wildly different characters. They're all different price points, $38,000 to $380,000. There is an open-top experience for every budget here at Performance Car of the Year. And I love it. I love them all. They're all a good time. What a brilliant grouping. Now I think I need to find my co-editor-at-large, Jethro, and argue with him for a little bit. Here we are, 4 convertibles for the 2025 Performance Car of the Year. I've run some laps. Jethro has run our timed laps. And so, Mr. Bovingdon, what do we think of the MX-5?
I love it. It's cool, isn't it? It's timeless. And it reminds you of all the things that you actually need, which is something small, light, agile. I think on the road they can feel a bit soft, but on the track, because you've got it fully loaded, the balance is really good. Engine and gearbox, fantastic. For the money, it's just great.
There's nothing about driving that you can't learn in this and then apply to the rest of these.
Yeah, and even if you've been driving the quicker stuff, you've still got the level of involvement because you have to rev match, you have to use the manual gearbox, and there's still enough power to be moving the car with momentum and under power as well. So yeah, I think it's great. It's just a cool little thing.
Right. Now, the Z4, same formula, long nose, short deck. We've got a 6-cylinder turbo, we've got a manual, but we have 1,200 extra pounds here.
Yeah, you can tell it's a lot heavier. To me, that wouldn't necessarily be like something that would kill it off, but the steering feels really jumpy. There's no feel in it. So after this, which is so natural, you jump in, within a lap, I think anyone would be super comfortable to actually push pretty hard. This, you're sort of jumping around, it hops over the bumps. I think it feels like a car that is set up for the road rather than the track. Yeah.
I've driven it a lot on the road, and it's really nice in isolation on the road. But in a back-to-back-to-back-to-back track test, a lot of those things that you pointed out make themselves known very quickly. The word is unnatural.
Yeah, and it's quick though. It is quick. It's got better traction than the M2 we had last year, so it puts down a good lap, but it's not actually that fun to do. You feel like you're bullying the car rather than actually just driving it and exploiting it.
Yeah, on the road I thought, okay, for the same amount as a base Boxster, this as it sits is the same amount as a base Boxster.
Yeah. Okay.
I think on the road I'd probably rather have this than the most poverty spec Boxster.
4-cylinder Boxster.
But on the track, I'd probably rather have the base Boxster.
Yeah. We don't care about base Boxsters because we've got
we have
Spyder RS.
The ultimate Boxster, the Spyder RS, GT3 motor, magnesium wheels, center locks, carbon brakes, no roof eliminated.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I love Spyders. I've loved them since the first generation, and this one obviously developed by the motorsport department. It just ups the ante in every way. It's precise.
Yeah.
That's the word. It's precise. And the MX-5 has got that squidge, but it reminds me, they're totally different cars, but you're driving them. You're not driving around problems. You're not trying to compensate for a lack of traction or like, oh, it's a bit bad body control. You just get in and you absolutely bully the car, and it responds beautifully, and everything you ask it to do, it does it. The gearbox is outrageously good. Yeah, mega car.
You're really, with this car, you're really having a conversation.
Yeah.
You tell it to do something, it tells you what it's about to do, and it goes both ways at the same speed.
It is, but you can hurry it.
Yeah.
That's what I like. You can start to be like, okay, I'm going to push hard here. I'm going to ask it to do something that doesn't feel like it might be able to do, and it just responds every time. So
and the sound. I mean, the sound is so finely tuned for what we want out of a car.
I would have this over a GT4 RS all day long.
100%. I own a 718 Spider. I wish this came with a manual, but I'm not mad that this one doesn't because it's great. the way it is. And now we have the Artura Spider, the first series production hybrid McLaren, 631 horsepower, carbon tub with a hybrid assist, but it's still very light.
Yeah, I think it's got all the McLaren qualities that you and I both love, actually. The way you sit in the car, how light they feel.
And the heat, it has the heat.
This one has better throttle response than other McLarens because of the hybrid system. I don't think it's quite got the theatre and lunacy that you normally get with a McLaren, but it's very impressive. The only thing is, it feels just a tiny bit reined in. You know, like a Ferrari 296 is just out of this world crazy hybrid application. With this, it feels like they've found the slot that they want this car to sit in their range, and that's where it is. It feels just a bit restrained, but it's good. It feels so light considering it's got that extra weight.
I think someone at McLaren said, you know, we're scaring people. They said guys like Farah and Jethro and Harris, they all talk about wheel spin in fourth gear. They talk about, you know, the craziness. And they said, I think we're scaring people away. Let's build a car that has that feel, but that's more approachable.
Yeah.
And that's what this is.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And like I say, no one does driving position, sense of agility like McLaren do. They get the basics so right. And it's a really good car, just like, let's have 20% more fear factor.
Yeah. Crank up the scary. Well, leave a comment in the comments. Tell us what you think. We'll have to wait for the V-Box people to come back with the lap times. And these are the convertibles of the 2025 Road and Track Performance Car of the Year.